And welcome back to this portion of our Real Estate Radio Hour, 651-989-9226, or you can send the guys a text at 81807. Here again, Chris and Andy.
Okay, we got a text here, Andy. We can answer this. My home was on the market in 2007. Tax assessment was $239. Now it's $142. Does the tax assessment have anything to do with the price?
Well, sure. I mean, it always does. If you look at, how the consumer shops, again, they Google it, they look at the tax value, they look at Zillow, they look at Trulia, and then they come to the house and they go, all right, now tax value is $130, I'm going to offer $125. Does that mean you have to accept that? Absolutely not. I mean, I think that some of those are...
It's a negotiating thing for people, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're talking... Because we know that market under $200,000 is pretty hot right now.
Absolutely.
So depending on where you're at, if it says, hey, it's only worth $142, it still might be $189.9.
Well, in that price range, we've seen appreciation this year in the teens. So,
huge, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to quote the exact number, but
right.
I mean, it's been up there in some of these markets where it's up 15, 16 percent higher values on sales. And what happened, just like anything else, that kind of trails behind. So as values a couple years back went up, the values trailed with it and they kind of went up. Well, now they're coming back down.
You got it. Yep. Okay, well, we got Justin Jurkovich with W.J. Bradley with us today. And, Justin, we appreciate you coming in again.
Great to be in.
You always do a good job and have a real good pulse on the market. I mean, which is really nice. Why don't you bring? I thought we'd talk about maybe some tips. Like it's tax season. I mean, it's not really tax season, but you're kind of finishing up here at the end of the year, getting ready for next year. But there's a lot of things, with self-employed people and maybe down payment and stuff with returns.
Yeah, it's just one of the things to keep in mind if you are in the market for a home and you're not quite ready to jump in yet, but you should be starting to think about your pre-approval that you're going to be looking for from a lender. And one of the things that happens is a lot of people use their income tax returns as a form of their down payment or their savings. And it's really, for us as a lender, it's really an easy transition because we don't have to worry about the source and seasoning in this day and age. Most people do an electronic deposit right from the IRS, and therefore, once we see that on your bank statement, that's it. It's sourced, it's seasoned. We don't have to, get 3 or 4 more months of bank statements, and it sure keeps the process much simpler for the buyers.
Well, and people might think that that's not really a big deal, but my gosh, it's a big deal. I mean, when you're talking, sometimes they're checking out deposits of $40 to $70.
Yeah, in this day and age, it can be a little over the top depending on the income range that the borrower is in, and also, when you're dealing with it, it may seem trivial to you, but to the lender, for whatever reason, it has become an issue. And I tell people it may be a little bit painful at times, but that's why if we can talk about things like we're talking about now, we can remove some of the pain points and make a little bit smoother transition and, put everybody at the table with a smile on their face and no consternation.
Well, and on time.
Well, exactly. That's a key thing. I was going to say is that learning the process as a buyer, I think a lot of times you can appreciate then understanding that your loan officer is kind of the gatherer of all of the items, correct? And then they have how many people behind the scenes does that loan officer have to make happy to actually, approve the loans and get through that process? Just talk a little bit about that. I think it's kind of fascinating, actually.
From the time that the loan officer meets with that borrower and the time that file gets to the closing, just on our side, on what would be the W.J. Bradley side, you've got 13 to 14 sets of hands that are in your file. And that's a lot of people to coordinate. And, unfortunately, sometimes, one set of eyes looks at it and sees it one way, and another set of eyes looks at it and sees it a little bit different, and the borrower is left wondering what's going on. And that's where the loan officer has to maintain an open line of communication and help them understand that. But there again, the sad thing is that you'll just never get it. Some of the stuff you're just going to scratch your head. As a loan officer, as somebody that's been in this business for a considerable period of time, I walk away and shake my head and I just tell the borrower, let's just do what we need to do. The underwriter requires it. We got to do it.
I was going to say, how many times you guys have helped us, and this is, obviously we sound like we're plugging Justin, but he's fantastic at what he does. We've had other loan officers that have actually had the loans fall flat, where they just can't perform. A lot of that has to do with what you're talking about, understanding the process as a loan officer, putting the parts together on the front end. Like we said, we completely go through the entire process on the beginning, and you work a little harder, but then when you present that packet to those 14 different hands, you present it the right way, it's going to go through, you know.
Well, and that's a big thing too, and that's why one of the things that we do that I think differentiates us against the competition is we try to get everything on the front end rather than give you a quick look and say, yep, looks good, go ahead, buy a home, and then you come down and you made the offer and you're trying to close. Now we've got an issue midway through that we've got to unwind. We're going to get everything on the front end. We're going to do a pre-screening to know what some of those potential hurdles are, and now we're going to tell you, yes, here you go. If you write an offer, maybe instead of a 30-day close, we'll want 45 days. Or if you say, geez, you know, I found this house, we want to close in 15 days, you know, we think we can get a little bit better deal on it. We already know. We've looked at everything. We know how strong your file is and what the potential hurdles are, so we're going to be able to react a lot quicker.
Well, exactly. But the difference between that looks good letter and that fully underwritten approval, because today's market's tight, guys. I mean, we sell a house. They want to close in 30 days. You've got to get your stuff out of the house, find the new property that you want to move into. The time windows are so tight right now. I mean, it's very, I don't want to say frustrating because that's not the right word, but it's a process that when you get into it, you have to be prepared.
It's intense. I think that's the best way to put it. You don't realize, it's the old adage, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And if you're a first-time home buyer, there's a lot you don't know. And it's not that you can't learn or you won't learn, but, you know, there again, you can read a lot of books, you can get a lot of advice, but till you're through the process, you just got to know it.
If you haven't bought in 3 or 4 years, you don't know.
Yes.
I mean, because a lot of things have changed. Let's talk quickly about self-employed with tax returns. Is it something that, hey, let's get them done right away so I can use my 2012s? Or
well, there again, depending if you've had a marketable increase in your business and you're trying to qualify for a little bit more, maybe, you know, hustling up and getting your 2012s done and filed is going to make a difference. But otherwise, from a lending standpoint, it's really, we just need to see 1 to 2 years depending on the situation. We always ask for 2, but we only may need 1. You know, we might not need to, you know, get the 2012 because the 2010 and 11 already support what we need, and you know, we just have to wait till April 15th, and then if you file an extension, we can go out till October 15th.
Very good. We're going to take a quick break here. If you'd like to get involved in the show, you have a real estate question, 651-989-9226 or 866-989-9226, or send a text at 81807. We'll be back with more of the Real Estate Radio Hour here on 830 WCCO.